Hey, third grade. Today we're going to be moving on to talking about geometry in 2D and 3D shapes, okay? So in this lesson, I am going to be going over a couple of anchor charts. These are some anchor charts that I want you to refer back to when you guys are working on the assignment today and also the assignment that I'm going to have later on this week for you all. Okay, I want this to be something that you guys are using to help you. I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to talk a little bit more about what quadrilaterals are. And then you guys have some slides to do by yourself, okay? So you just have these are just matching. There's some shapes over here that you're just going to drag over to the appropriate word that it matches. You're going to tell me if it's a quadrilateral or not. So you're just going to drag these shapes to quadrilateral or not a quadrilateral. And then this is some problem solving. There are 2 problem solving questions and 2 test prep questions. Test prep questions are going to be really similar to what you guys are going to see on your unit assessments and also what you may see on your STAR test that you guys will take at the end of this year. So let me go ahead and get started, okay? We're starting with 2D shapes today and quadrilaterals, and then we're going to move on to talking about 3D shapes later. Okay, so classifying 2D shapes. 2-dimensional shapes are flat figures that have a length and a width. 2-dimensional shapes can also be called a plane figure. 2D shapes can be classified as polygons and non-polygons. A polygon is a closed plane figure with only straight sides. So let's talk about polygons and non-polygons. Right here in this little square, you can see that we're talking about polygons. All right, each one of these figures or shapes has their only straight sides, and all of the sides connect. Okay, there's no openings. It's not an incomplete figure. They're all complete. They all touch, and they are all straight edges or straight sides. Non-polygons. This little Pac-Man, while it does have 2 straight sides, the rest of the figure is not straight. It is curved, so that makes it a non-polygon. You have a heart, and your heart does not have any straight sides. This looks like a raindrop. It doesn't have any straight sides, and then you have a circle down here that doesn't have any straight sides, okay? You can also classify 2D shapes by the number of sides and vertices that they have. So a triangles only have 3 sides and 3 vertices. Sides are 1, 2, 3, and the vertices are going to be your corners or your points. A quadrilateral has 4 sides and 4 vertices. All quadrilaterals have 4 sides and 4 vertices. And a pentagon, it has 5 sides and 5 vertices. A hexagon has 6 sides and 6 vertices. So when you're working on this assignment down here where you're matching what shape goes where, I really, really, really want you to refer back to this little part right here because that's going to help you. And also, this anchor chart is going to be really beneficial to you when you're doing that as that part of this assignment as well, okay? So quadrilaterals are polygons that have 4 sides and 4 angles. All quadrilaterals have 4 sides and 4 angles. Now, not all quadrilaterals look the same though. There are many different types of quadrilaterals. There are attributes that make each quadrilateral unique. So this is what I really want us to focus on, okay? Or this is really important because I'm going to talk about this a little bit more and kind of give you a little bit of a tree. I call this like your quadrilateral tree. And it's going to talk about the quadrilaterals a little bit more. So quadrilaterals is a polygon with 4 sides and 4 angles, meaning they're all straight sides and all of the sides connect and touch, so it's a closed figure. Rectangles has two pairs of parallel sides. Parallel sides go like this. Parallel sides are never ever going to touch. So even if you keep on going all the way out, like if you took this line and just extended it and extended it forever and ever, and this bottom one, they would never touch. These sides would never ever touch. Same thing for the opposite. So parallel sides are going to be opposite sides, all right? So the rectangle, the top and the bottom, these are parallel. They're never going to touch. You can keep on going forever and ever and ever, and those sides would never touch. Same thing as the ones on the other side. They're parallel. They're never going to touch. If you kept extending them, they would just be a really, really, really big rectangle, okay? Two pairs of parallel sides. So two pairs. A pair is two. So this one and this one, that's one pair. This one and this one is another pair. And four right angles. Right angles make an L. Okay, right angles are 90 degrees. And if you took a piece of paper and lined it up in the corner of the piece of paper with the corner of your rectangle, it would line up perfectly. That is a right angle. Okay, squares. Squares all have equal side lengths. Every single length of the side of a square is the same. And it has four right angles. So again, if you took your piece of paper and lined it up in the corner of this square, it would line up perfectly. A rhombus. A rhombus kind of looks like a diamond, okay? Two pairs of parallel sides, meaning this one and this one are parallel. They're never going to touch. This one and this one are parallel. Remember, parallel sides have to be the opposite sides, all right? And four sides of equal length. So, the difference between a rhombus and a square is a rhombus has four right angles, a square has four right angles, and a rhombus doesn't. But a rhombus has two pairs of parallel sides. A square has two pairs of parallel sides. And they're all the same. All of the sides are the same length. Parallelograms. A parallelogram is two pairs of parallel sides. Again, the top and the bottom, and the two sides on each side of the shape are parallel, and two pairs of sides. So sorry, I keep yawning. Two pairs of sides of equal length. So the top in a parallelogram, the top and the bottom are going to be the same length, and the two on the opposite sides are going to be the same length. This is similar to a rectangle. A rectangle, the top and the bottom are the same, and the two sides are the same length, but a rectangle has right angles, and a parallelogram does not. A trapezoid is a quadrilateral with exactly one set of parallel lines. So the top and the bottom in a trapezoid are parallel. If you kept extending them out, they would never ever touch. But if you extended out your trapezoid, the two side lengths, they would eventually touch. And let me show you what I mean by that. So if I extended this side and this side here, they would eventually touch and they would make an X. But if I extend these, those are not going to touch. If they're perfectly straight, they're not going to touch. That is a parallel. These right here, oops. These here would eventually touch and they would cross, making them not parallel, okay? Really hard to do with my mouse, but I hope you guys can see what I mean by that, all right? So I want to talk a little bit more about quadrilaterals and give you a breakdown about quadrilaterals. So here is my little quadrilateral tree that I like to refer to, okay? And I'm going to show you how quadrilaterals are related and very similar, but also how they're going to be different, kind of just how I just did in the video. Quadrilaterals. You have a trapezoid, parallelogram, a rhombus. This is also a trapezoid, a rectangle, and a square. Okay. a parallelogram has two pairs of parallel sides. So under a parallelogram, a rectangle, a parallelogram, a square, and a rhombus, those are all parallelograms. All right? Rectangles have four right angles. So a square is also a rectangle, and a rectangle is a rectangle. Parallelograms, a rhombus is a parallelogram, but it's also just called a rhombus. It has no right angles and all the sides are the same length. So, but it's also a parallelogram because it has two pairs of parallel sides. And then a square, all sides are the same length. So a square could be a rectangle because it has four right angles, but it's also a parallelogram because it has two pairs of parallel sides. A square is a special rectangle. So if I ask you, is a square a rectangle? A square is a rectangle, but when you think of a rectangle, what you traditionally think of is the top and the bottom being one length and the sides being a different length. But a square is a rectangle, okay? It's under the rectangle and it's under a parallelogram and it's under a quadrilateral. I know that can be really, really confusing. So I want you guys to be referring back to this diagram as much as you need to, okay? And then a trapezoid is just kind of off on its own under quadrilaterals because it's not a parallelogram because it doesn't have two pairs of parallel sides. It only has one pair of parallel sides. It's not a rectangle because it doesn't have four right angles. It's not a rhombus because they're not all the same length. The sides are not all the same length. And it's not a square because a square has all the sides are also all the same length, okay? So this is really important that you guys are understanding this. Again, please be referring back to these anchor charts while you're doing this. Now, here's a little question. What is the difference between 2D and 3D shapes? I want you to tell me, what's the difference? We haven't talked about 3D shapes yet, but I know that you haven't, third grade is not the first time that you're going to hear about 3D shapes. All right, and then you're going to be matching these, matching those, and then you have 4 questions to be answering. If you guys are needing help or needing assistance, it's really, really important that you guys are hopping on office hours and asking Miss Mays or myself for help when you're trying to understand something or you're not quite getting it, okay? I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and we will see you later.